In a quiet town where dust clung to the air and hope felt like a distant memory, an old horse stood in the auction ring. His ribs showed beneath his patchy coat, his eyes dull with exhaustion. No one wanted him. No one even looked twice. But then, a woman with sharp eyes and a steady hand raised her bid for just half a cent. The crowd laughed. Some jeered. But she didn't flinch. She saw something no one else did. Not a broken animal, but a second chance. Where are you watching from? And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss another tale that might just change someone's life. The sun hung low over Hollow Creek, casting long shadows across the dusty auction yard. It was a kind of day where the heat clung to your skin like a stubborn memory, and every breath tasted like dry grass and fading dreams. The usual crowd had gathered. Farmers with weathered faces, traders whispering secrets in corners, young men with boots too clean to have known hard work. They leaned against fence rails, hats pulled low, waiting for the next bargain or a spark of excitement. But as a loudspeaker crackled, announcing the final lot of the day, no one expected much. Lot number 87. No papers. 6 years old. Limping. Broken spirit. The auctioneer's voice was tired, worn down by boredom and cigarettes. A baby cried somewhere off to the left. Someone coughed. Then the horse was led into the ring. Skinny, patchy coat, right hind leg dragging every other step. His mane was dull, his eyes empty. He didn't look up, just waited. A woman in a faded flowered shirt whispered, "Poor thing's ready for the glue factory." Someone snorted. No hands rose. The auctioneer tried for humor. "How about we start this fine specimen at half a cent?" Laughter rippled through the crowd. One man called out, "Might be more useful as fertilizer." Another added, "Pay me and I'll haul him off myself." But then, from the far edge of the stands, a hand rose. At first, no one noticed. She was older, hair gray, cut short, wearing a battered military jacket, patched at the elbows, with a pin at the collar. She stood straight, shoulders squared, eyes unwavering. "I'll take him," she said. "Half a cent." The laughter faltered. Heads turned. The auctioneer blinked, then smirked for the crowd's benefit. "Sold. To the lady in the back." More chuckles followed. "What she want him for?" "A retirement gift for Congress," someone joked. Another voice chimed in, "Should have bought a used car, lady." But she didn't react. She simply nodded, walked forward, accepted the lead rope from the boy handing it over, silent, sunburnt, avoiding eye contact. No handshake, no words exchanged. The transaction was done. The horse, now hers, stood still, as if already braced for the next hardship. She bent down, gently touched the animal's neck, her eyes lingering on the hoof that dragged in the dirt. Around them, the world blurred into background noise, the clatter of an empty feed bucket, the drone of far-off conversation, the huff of engines in the parking lot. From behind, a man muttered, "Why not just buy yourself a tractor, lady? Or is this some kind of statement?" If she heard, she gave no sign. She walked the horse slowly across the lot. Their silhouettes were mismatched, one hunched by years, the other by sorrow and neglect. They looked like ghosts together, drifting past rows of pickups and trailers. Her trailer was easy to spot, silver, dulled by time, a dent in the left door, and a faded outline of unit decal still visible on the window. She let the wind sweep grit across her boots, waited for the animal to catch up before speaking. "Your name's Chance," she said, voice low and matter-of-fact. "That's what I'm calling you, because that's all either of us got left." She opened the tailgate. Chance paused, head lowered, considering the darkness inside. Then, without struggle, he stepped in. She closed the trailer quietly, walked around to the driver's side, slid into the cracked vinyl seat, and wrapped her hands around the steering wheel. Scars on her knuckles caught the last of the sunlight. She glanced in the rear-view mirror. Dust, the auction ring receding in the heat, laughter fading behind her. Tires shuddered over ruts as the truck eased onto the long dirt road leading out of town toward Hollow Creek. Sunset flared red in the glass. Behind her, the auction yard shrunk to a blur. Nothing left there for the living. She squeezed the wheel a little tighter, not from fear, but from habit. The journey home would take time. There was no hurry. Beside her, the seat was empty. Behind her, in the trailer, a battered animal leaned into the sway of the road. They moved forward together. Strangers tied by loss and chance. Price less than a bullet. Yet somehow still alive. Night pressing on Hollow Creek, with a hush that was never truly silent. It was an old land, older than fences, older than the cracked bones of barns, older perhaps than memory itself. Wind whistled through pine trees beyond the backfield, sending dry needles and brittle leaves scraping across the hard-packed yard. The barn stood apart from the house, weathered, hunched. Tin sheets flapped on the roof, making a sound somewhere between a warning and a lullaby. Its silhouette merged with the night. Only a soft yellow square from a kitchen window pushed back the dark. Inside, she tried to find sleep. She lay on the old leather couch, boots still on, a thin blanket tossed carelessly over her legs. The house was cold, but she hardly noticed. Her body had learned how to ignore the chill that crept in after sundown. Her left hand rested near her hip, fingers curled instinctively around the hilt, a folding knife tucked into her pocket. It was comfort more than precaution. Her brow furrowed, breath hitched. Old dreams began to unravel. Somewhere far and close at the same time, a radio chattered static blending with voices. Sierra 12 come in. Words echoed, clipped, frantic. In the dream, she was back in the sand, boots filling with grit, sweat burning in her eyes. Ree was there. He fell, screamed, reached for her. But the world spun. Fire poured down. Skies split open. Someone called her name. Or maybe it was just the wind. Darkness came sudden and absolute. She jerked awake, heart pounding, sweat cooling beneath her jacket. For a moment, she couldn't remember where she was. Her hand went automatically to her belt, searching for a weapon she hadn't carried in years. Silence filled the room, deep, heavy. She let her eyes roam the small living room. A photograph of a boy named Benji sat on the coffee table, smiling from beneath a baseball cap. Her breath came quick. She shut her eyes, trying to push the memories back. "It's just the first night," she murmured. Outside, Chance gave a slow exhale. Not fear, not panic, just someone who understood what it meant to be kept awake by old pain. She stood, joints aching. In the kitchen, the ancient stove hissed to life. She filled a kettle, set it to boil. Each small sound was magnified. She spooned instant coffee into a dented cup, poured water, watched the swirl. She carried it to the table, sat in the same spot every night since returning. She held the cup in both hands, warming stiff fingers. Through the window, she could see the barn. She spoke softly. "Not every soldier who makes it back is really home. Some of us just find another place to sleep." She looked into her coffee, saw only her own shadow. A fragment of cloth peeked from her pocket. She pulled it out, a faded uniform shirt, stitched with her last name. Folded inside was a small keychain shaped like a helicopter. She rolled it in her palm, feeling its edges. Outside, the wind rose. Chance shuffled, then lay down in his stall. She imagined she could hear him breathing. She got up, crossed to the front door, paused, looked out at the empty yard. "You survived," she said, voice barely more than a breath. "So did I." She closed the door softly behind her, carried the cold mug back to the sink, washed it clean. The house was still no comfort. But for a moment, she wasn't alone. Days passed. She woke at 5 a.m., the hour soldiers and farmers shared. No alarm, just muscle memory. She pulled on her boots, tugged her jacket over a flannel shirt, and walked to the barn. Every morning was the same. She brought water. Hey, watched him. Chance watched her. No rush, no urgency. By the third day, he drank while she still stood nearby. By the fifth, he let her brush him. By the seventh, he didn't run when she left the stall door open. On the 10th day, he looked back at her, and for once, she didn't turn away. Weeks passed. Benji returned. They didn't rush, didn't talk much, but they worked together, trained Chance, built trust. And when they entered the county fair, it wasn't for glory. It was for healing. When chance played second, the crowd didn't cheer for perfection. They cheered for courage, for showing up battered and whole. Time moved on. Benji received a call. A ranch job in Montana. He asked if he could take Chance. She paused. 5 seconds, then said yes. As the truck rolled down the drive, dust rising behind it, Cassidy stood at the gate. She held a badge in her pocket. A reminder that being alive means choosing to live. Later, a letter arrived. No return address. But the handwriting was familiar. Slow Chance cross a river like it was nothing. You were right. He isn't broken. Just waiting for the right person. Maybe I was too. She read it again. Didn't cry. Didn't smile. She simply sat. Something in her chest was lighter. She stood, stretched, and walked outside. The barn no longer groaned. It whispered. She looked down the gravel road. Didn't expect anyone. But didn't close herself off from the possibility. Moral lesson. Sometimes the greatest strength isn't found in being perfect. It's in daring to show up, broken and real, and finding someone who sees your worth anyway. If you love this story, don't forget to leave a comment below telling us what part touched you the most. And remember to hit that subscribe button so you never miss another heartfelt journey. See you next time.